Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 226. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You get notified when we go live, so join in the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, likes, shares, reviews, subscriptions, whatever it is. May seem small, but it does help the channel grow, so if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Today we're talking video game chatter. Shocker. We're going to be talking about two different games, both on the PlayStation side of things, just because that's my console of choice. And speaking of, as of recording today, the whole hardware announcement for PlayStation dropped today, so we're going to kind of shoehorn that in a mini topic here. So pretty much what had happened today is they had this hardware showcase announcement, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty much just showcasing off the PlayStation 5 Pro. So typically we get the Pro models half-ish way through the console's life cycle. This is 4 years after PlayStation 5 launched, I believe, if I remember reading that correctly from someone. I'm sorry, can't credit them. So they showed off the Pro today, and the main thing that they were presenting is there's three things or areas that they're trying to improve. They're trying to improve, well, rather, they noticed what players, when they get the option between fidelity, which is your higher graphics, like that you can see, ray tracing, all the fancy stuff, between fidelity mode and performance mode, which fidelity mode is a better looking game at a less frame rate, so 30 seconds, or sometimes it may go underneath because of all the stuff. So there's fidelity mode, and then there's performance mode, which is 60 frames per second, steady, but things might not look as pretty as they were made. Kind of lowers that quality down. They noticed that more players are going for the performance mode compared to the fidelity. I think they said 75%, which kind of shocked me. I thought I was kind of on the smaller side of that. I know for stream we always try and go for performance mode just to make things more fluid and whatnot and running and not choppy. But interesting to hear that stat come out of that. So they are trying to figure out a way with the Pro model of how to improve performance. So what the devs are making, creating these worlds and environments and whatnot, that can be shown off to its fullest extent. So they're trying to take both of those modes, try and up the quality to make it so fidelity is like your default mode, right? So they're going to focus on, I think they called it like PSSR. I don't remember what the acronym was for, but it's for like three different components. We have the power of the internet. Why not use it? Three components that they're going to focus on with the Pro in order to try and improve it and its performance. Okay, so let me see. So I got PlayStation blog pulled up. So the three things that they are working on: an upgraded GPU. With the PS5 Pro, we're upgrading the GPU that has 67% more compute units than the current PS5 model and 28% faster memory. Overall enables 45% faster rendering for gameplay, making experience much smoother. Advanced ray tracing. We've added even more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflection or refraction of light. This allows the rays to be cast at double and at times triple the speeds of the current PS5 console. And the last one was an AI-driven upscaling. We've also introduced PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, that's that PSSR I talked about, an AI-driven upscaling that uses a machine learning-based technology to provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail. So all that sounds good. I mean, makes sense. You're going to take your base model, improve on it as technology obviously goes on, and you really want to take advantage of, how good things can look, especially with those AAA titles and those titles that really go hard for graphics, facial stuff, whatever it is. So, cool. That all sounds great. And like nice improvements. A lot of people were concerned about what's the price of this thing going to be. Obviously, PlayStation 5 was up there already in price. So that was the big debate, was how much is this thing going to cost? Pretty much for the look of the console, it looks similar to your base PS5. It's got a few more racing stripes on it. The big omission, there is no disc drive. So it is a fully digital console, which we've had with one of the PlayStation 5 models now, and then the Xbox Series S, I believe, is digital only. So, like, it's not groundbreaking that that's new. Just a little unfortunate for obviously physical people. I will say there is a separate charge of a attachable disk drive, so you could go that route. So they show off this thing. They show off the side-by-side comparisons of, like, this is a PlayStation 5 running it, this is a PS5 running it, or PS5 running it, PS5 Pro running it. I couldn't tell much difference. Granted, YouTube and streaming and all that stuff, you're not going to really notice it until you probably see it in person type thing, if you have the right monitor, TV, etc. So they showcased that a little bit, and then we finally got to the price. This thing is $699.99. It's $700 for this PlayStation 5 Pro. Holy crap. Obviously more expensive than the base PS5, which, you know, to be expected, but you would think maybe releasing this new one, you could do slightly higher than the PS5 model, scale that down in price. But no. So that's a little bit of shock that it's that high, but also, like I said, if you want a disc drive, that's an additional $80. The vertical stand does not come with it for some reason. That is an additional cost. So PlayStation kind of really screwed the pooch here. Like I said, these sound like good improvements. It is nothing personally I'm like, yep, I'm gonna go buy one. I don't think I've ever gotten a Pro model, except it was like really, really late, like PS4 era. I think my cousin was getting rid of his, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. So I don't think I was really expecting to get this anyway, or anticipating to get this anyway. My PlayStation 5 luckily runs great as is, and I have no problems with it. So yeah, just like, woo, that's a big ask. So if people are getting it, great. Doesn't seem, but granted, the internet is a bubble. Doesn't seem like a lot of people are happy and will be getting it. But we'll see. It comes out November 4th of this year. Also includes a 2TB solid state drive, which is cool. You get your DualSense controller. You get a copy of Astro's Playroom, which is on the base PS5. Great game, which we'll be talking about soon. So yeah, interesting stuff. So talking about Astro, let's get more on a positive note. After, you know, showcasing the hardware here, and then the recent Concord shutdown of that game. Let's talk about a positive and a win for PlayStation. Let's talk about Astrobot. Now, Astrobot, as of recording, just launched on Friday. And if you don't know what Astrobot is, it is a cute little robot man, a little square TV head. He's got a cape, and it is a 3D platformer. Going around, collecting coins, going through puzzles, complete the course, typical stuff there. But Astrobot has had a few different games. I believe his first appearance was in a PlayStation VR 1 title. Could be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong there. And then, as we just talked about, Astro's Playroom was like a tech demo, essentially, for the PS5. We might have talked about it way back when on the podcast when we talked about the PlayStation and my experiences with it, but Astro's Playroom was an amazing game. So mainly it was a tech demo for, you know, your DualSense controller, all the haptic feedback stuff, your adaptive triggers, how you can feel things differently in the controller based on what's happening, raindrops, different vibration movements, stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. And something they also did with Astro's Playroom, along with the tech demo stuff, is they kind of showcased and showed love for the history of PlayStation. So you could collect different consoles and accessories that the PlayStations have had throughout the years. And then you could also, through your journey, see different Astrobots that are like dressed up as your favorite game characters. It was kind of almost like fun little Easter eggs that you could find. And that was a lot of fun to go through. It was a great experience. And Astrobot that just has come out is like that multiplied. So Playroom was a decent sized experience. I say it was maybe 4 or 5 hours. I'm not sure. This one is probably 8 to 10, like a more full length game. And it seems like it's continuing off where Playroom left off. In the trailers, they showed that there's going to be a few of the characters that are making their return. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, Kratos and Atreus from God of War, Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, Spike from Ape Escape. I'm not sure if they showed anybody else. So those characters are coming back, and what the story opens up with, this is probably the only part I'll spoil, is it's Astrobot and all of the little buddies. There's like 300 or so. Not all PlayStation characters. There's a decent chunk that are just kind of generic Astrobots. But a good chunk are the PlayStation characters and video game characters alike. They're on a big giant PS5 traveling through space, and an alien shows up and like steals the interior components of the PlayStation 5, and you crash land on this planet, and then Astrobot has to go to, I think it's like 5 different galaxies where there's mini bosses and stuff. Go through these platforming levels, recover lost Astrobots, work on rebuilding the PS5 like spaceship, and go after this big bad. And I have been absolutely loving this game. So I jumped in, I think it was Friday night, and then I've played a little bit more there. So I'm not super far into it. I've probably completed I have completed the first galaxy, and then I've started that second one. If you guys have been playing, then you kind of know roughly where I'm at. And yeah, I've just been loving it. This has been like one of those games where I haven't felt this way in a while, where I get completely lost in the game, and not like, oh, lost in a bad way, just like that pure joy and excitement that games felt like back in the day, and just like happiness and excitement over everything, seeing how beautiful the world is that Team Asobi has created with Astrobot and their levels and whatnot. It's impressive as well as pretty to see everything, how it's laid out, how you interact with different stuff, like the smaller components you can push around, how things break apart. And it's very fun. There's a few challenges here and there, typical platformer stuff, but I wouldn't say it's anything egregious that makes you feel like, God, I want to stop playing. I've heard there's some challenge levels that are like on the side that you can do. I haven't reached anything that's felt super frustrating. It's just been the usual like small mistake here, landed wrong, fell, whatever it was. And it was like, okay, I understand what I did. Right back into it. It didn't feel like it was a question mark or it's cheap or anything like that. But the most exciting part, besides, the levels and the gameplay, and they're still using like the most they can with the controller and the haptics here, which I guess I could talk about real quick before that next point I was going towards. But they really have used the technology here to their advantage. In Playroom, they used a couple of fun mechanics, and they kind of bring some back here and then add whole new ones. Like there's these punchy gloves that are kind of like similar to arms on the Nintendo Switch, or you punch and it's like a little extendo arm. You can do that with each of the controllers depending on the level, or rather the triggers, and you could feel the resistance there as you're going to it. I ran into a monkey the other day, which calls back to Playroom, where it's a climbing mechanic, so you have to motion control, like tilt to raise that arm up, grab, tilt, grab, go, 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 and you're climbing through different levels that way. Excuse me. So that's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate what the team has done there. But where it's really shined is finding the different characters. So as we talked about with Playroom, they're just kind of out and about, and you'll just see like miniature scenes of them. And it was like, oh, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so, and it's cute and it's fun. Here you're actually collecting them. So with the spaceship kind of crashing, all the Astrobots get spread out. Like I said, some are generic, but there's a decent chunk that are these video game and PlayStation characters. And you save them, and you collect them as you go. There was a few in the trailer that obviously I listed off or said that I was like, yeah, I'm expecting those guys. I think even in the first level, I had a very nice surprise of like, oh shit, it's this character, and that just made me smile. And having those moments come up across these levels in these galaxies, I think has been the most fun and exciting for me, because, you know, going into it as spoiler free as possible and just being surprised again and again and again by all these different characters that are in here, and also testing my knowledge. Like, there's a few characters I'm like, who, you look familiar, I do not know what you are from. And they don't really flat out say it. They'll kind of give when you unlock them, or save them rather. It gives like a little blurb. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody, like a blurb from a character. Like Ratchet, for example. Ratchet and Clank were in the trailers. I think they talk about like how they're some kind of engineer or whatever, but it doesn't say like flat out, oh, it's Ratchet and Clank. But that's been the most fun part. Each level is very clear of what is in each level in terms of unlocking. Like, there's 7 Astrobots here, and there's 3 puzzle pieces that are used to unlock different buildings, and then there's alternate paths for these bonus levels. You got to find it. It's like a secret, but everything there is clearly labeled. With the Astrobots, however many there are in the world, it's a little silhouette, of the Astrobot shape. And the PlayStation specific characters, they'll put the 4 sacred symbols by them, so you know, oh, in this level there's going to be 3 PlayStation characters that I'm going to look out for. And for the most part, I would say it's very streamlined, where you're going to get most of them. But as the levels progress, you are rewarded by exploring, and that's where you'll find the different objectives, whether it's the Astrobots, whether it's the puzzle pieces, or it's these other paths that we had talked about with the other levels. You are rewarded for exploring, but it's also, like I said, it's very good of letting you know when you have missed something or your progress, based on where the Astrobots will fill in the slots as well. So if you have 7, they all correspond to where they are kind of found, or the order they're found. So if you notice, oh, I found the 4th Astrobot, but I haven't found the 3rd, you know that you missed something. It's nice there. In replaying levels, you can also, if you don't want to kind of like grind it out, sounds bad, but if you don't want to just search endlessly without looking up, you know, a tutorial or whatever, I have noticed if you go back to levels, there's this little bird robot, and you can pay some coins and he'll fly along with you, and the controller will vibrate almost like a radar, essentially, when you're near some of those hidden components. So at least it kind of narrows down the idea of like, okay, this is the area I need to be looking around, and you can go from there, which is a nice feature, especially when you're going back, and like I said, you don't want to be frustrated. It respects your time in that aspect, or with that mechanic. So once you get the characters, the planet that you crash landed on kind of acts as a hub world for all you guys. So every time you come back from a mission, you'll see all the Astrobots that you have saved before just standing there like psyched that you're back, all waving for you and whatnot. And then it unleashes the new Astrobots. And on this hub world, they are there to kind of help you solve puzzles as well in the hub world, to collect even more resources. So maybe you have to collect a certain amount or save a certain amount. Like, you need 10 to help you climb up this thing, or 50 to get over this big gap, and it's a bridge. So you're rewarded in that aspect of like more things to do if you find more of the robots. Cool. Last thing, in terms of the hub world itself, eventually, I've talked about these puzzle pieces. These puzzle pieces will eventually, I think your first one unlocks like a component for each of the individual PlayStation characters. So it gives them a certain item or a set piece or whatever. And in that hub world, after you buy that item from the coins you collected, then it will give them this little thing, and they will animate and act like they're in their video game. So, for example, we talked about Ratchet. I believe Clank is his, so you only get Ratchet. I think Clank is what you get from him. But then if you go up to them, I don't know why, but then you gotta you smack them. They'll do the special animation, and Ratchet and Clank like interact with each other. I think Ratchet like drops all his bolts, and he's like no, and he like scurries them back into his purse or whatever. So that's pretty funny. But seeing the wide array of different characters that they do have, like I want to talk about them so bad. But I think that's where this game shines, is you, the player, experiencing these things for yourself, and at this sense of discovery. Seeing some of the different ones, it's really cute and adorable, because yeah, there's a wide variety of characters here, from like more kid-centric characters to the adult-centered characters, but it's funny to see, especially those like mature rated games, doing something typically aimed for a kid, and it's cute just to see that interaction. So that's been a fun, rewarding part of the process too, along with collecting them, is seeing what kind of animations there are, and seeing the range of characters that are here. I was really happy and surprised by a few of them already early on in the game. I'm excited to continue playing through and seeing, like I said, there's 300 Astrobots you can save. Some of them, obviously the generic guys, aren't going to be too much, but I'm excited to see the other characters that we do unlock throughout the game, and see what else is hidden in there. One last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this topic. So you have your base levels where you kind of just jump around, you're doing the typical platforming, solving the puzzles, whatever. Once you get to, I think it's after the boss fight, at least in the first world, there was like a character that showed up, and you then kind of take the mantle of that character. So he was in the trailer, so I'll talk about him, but Spike from Ape Escape is in this. So Spike from Ape Escape has his net. That's how he kind of catches the monkeys, collects them and saves the day. Some of these characters that you run into and interact with, they'll have their own levels based on their game. So in Spike's, you got to be Spike and run around with the net, catch different Astrobot monkeys that are dressed up, and go through that. And it hit close to home with me because Ape Escape was one of those early games that I played at my aunt and uncle's. Didn't have a memory card and just would replay that beginning section over and over again when I did go over there. And I absolutely loved that game. So to kind of go into here, reminisce, and relive it for a little while was really, really fun and really, really nice. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of those, unfortunately. At least in the first Galaxy, there was only that one. So I have to guess that there will be one per Galaxy, which there are 5 or 6 of. Perhaps there'll be more. We'll have to see. But that was just a really fun thing to do, to mix, obviously, the components of Astrobot's mechanics and then take what these other titles are doing in that character and add that in as well. It was just a fun little, this is cool. So Astrobot is a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it to anybody who has a PlayStation, first off. But if you played Playroom, which you should have, if you didn't play it on your PS5, what are you doing? If you played Playroom and you really enjoyed what you got out of that experience, this is going to reward you with more of that. Bring what Playroom brought to the table and just kind of add on to that experience. Even if you're not the most hardcore like PlayStation fan, I think this is it's fun, shorter platformer. It's not going to be super frustrating, but it is going to allow you to have a lot of those cool like game moments of just reminiscing, going down memory lane and unlocking all these different characters to interact with. It just makes my heart so happy like playing it, and it was a real escape, and I know I definitely needed that this weekend, and it was nice to have a game that fully just, I don't know, I haven't felt like a game has done that for me in a while. Like obviously, there's a lot of games that are good and are fun, but that type of experience, I feel like I haven't gotten that in a while, or just everything washed away, and it was just the pure happiness of that experience. So, had a lot of fun with Astrobot. Looking forward to playing more, possibly tonight at some point, and just, going through that. And it's, I saw somebody on Twitter, shout out to the trophy room. I think Kyle's played it all the way through for the platinum. Joe, Mr. Badbit, was like, I'm enjoying this so much, but I don't want to rush through it and just then it's gone. And I'm like, oh yeah, I totally understand that, because I'm just like, go, 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 go. But I also agree with what he's saying. It's like, oh no, it'll be real sad when this is over. Apparently they're going to have free DLC for some speedrunning aspects. I don't know if that will bring me back to play it again. But that's a nice thing that they are adding to it. And yeah, Team Asobi just absolutely crushed it. You can definitely see their love and care in this and their other projects. So just kudos to them. Fantastic game. If you were thinking about it, I would highly recommend it. And if not, change that. But yeah, guys, that's Astrobot. Let's move on over to topic 2. Let's talk about another game that came out recently, as of recording, I believe, some point last week. But let's quickly talk about Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Now, this, if you don't know, is Harry Potter Quidditch, pretty much. So it's just you playing Quidditch games from the ground up, I guess you could say. Going through Hogwarts to the World Cup, and just having fun and playing those games. Now, when this was announced, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I do remember really enjoying hold on. There was a Quidditch game during the PS2 era. Quidditch. It's not Quidditch Champions, but game. Let me see. You're not showing me, of course. Here it is. Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. Oh, simple as that. So yeah, it was on GameCube, PlayStation, possibly Xbox, from EA Games back in the day. I enjoyed that game way more than I anticipated. I felt like I spent a lot of hours just playing game after game after game. It was a lot of fun to jump into, do the whole World Cup stuff and see those different teams, and had good animations and played really well. So when this was announced, I was like, oh, maybe that will kind of scratch that nostalgia itch. Maybe I'll jump into it at some point, if I ever feel like, oh, it's on sale and just want something. We've talked about zone out games. Something I'll jump into, zone out for a little while, get that nostalgia kick, like I said. Play it, move on to the next thing. Well, funnily enough, no, that's not even. Luckily enough, oh boy, English. Luckily enough, PlayStation, if you're part of PlayStation Plus, similar to, I think Xbox used to do this with Xbox Live, every month you get 3 games available to you free to add to your library. Usually these games, range from there's independent titles to AAA titles, but for the most part, it's a game that's probably been out for a little while, 6 months to a year, and it's like, hey, these are great games, maybe you missed them, and you can kind of take advantage of that and add it to your library if you forgot about it or just couldn't afford it at the time. And you're like, hey, it's a nice little free gift to you to pick up, even just try something. You're like, I don't know if I would like that thing. And you can grab it that way. Well, PlayStation this month, somehow, Quidditch Champions was part of it. I'm like, oh, well, this is perfect. I'm going to try it right away. Free, not that, oh, got to be free. Don't just support the devs. No. But it was a nice barrier of entry of just like, oh, well, I already technically have it. Just add it in. So I tried it out last night. And yeah, those feelings came back of nostalgia from Quidditch World Cup. The game, maybe not the most deep of experiences, where obviously it's just the Quidditch games over and over and over and over again. I don't think it has the depth to really hook me for a super long time, but I will say that it was a fun experience overall. Flying around, playing the game once again, and getting more accustomed to that. So how it works out is the whole opening section, as most games, is a tutorial section with the Weasleys at their house. They got a big farm area, and they have a pitch over there. Sure. But you get taught how to be each of the characters, whether it's a chaser, beater, seeker, keeper. You get to play as each of those characters and play out different challenges with them to learn the mechanics of them. And then you eventually play a game, and you can progress from the tutorial from there to go into the campaign, which I haven't dipped my toes into. But as you're going through these different roles, you have the character customizer, so you can create your own characters. I know Harry Potter's a little touchy subject with JK and her feelings, but Portkey Games, I will say, does a great job. I know they did it in Hogwarts Legacy, where they had trans pronouns in there. You could choose those, and they tried to be much better than JK is. And they continue that here, where you can choose your pronouns, customize your character however you want. You have that freedom, which is cool. So you gradually over time through the tutorials would create different characters. You didn't, get as in depth if you want to. And like I said, you would play through as each of the characters. And all the mechanics felt really smooth. It was very fun to play. Flying around felt great. And it was just a nice thing to jump back into. Playing the different roles was interesting. I think I preferred the chaser, which is pretty much just your primary scorer throughout the game. You take the quaffle, this giant dodgeball thing, chuck it into the hoop, you get 10 points, go through the game there. I think it's first to 100 wins. So you have the chasers, who are your scorers. You have the beaters, who take these bludgers, I think they're called, the big iron balls, and you're kind of like trying to smack other players with that to damage them, to help your team out. So you're kind of defensive bruiser type characters. You have your keeper, your goaltender. That was a lot more fun to play than I anticipated. I thought that'd be very stressful. Granted, it was the beginnings of the game. And then you have your seeker, which is another scorer, but it's only a few times per game, and you have to like chase down a really fast ball, the snitch, which is like a small guy that's flying away. And at any point during the game, you can switch to any of these roles. So if you want to just stick to chaser, you could just do that. If you just want to be goalkeeper, you could do that. Or at any point, you can swap between these roles, which is very nice. And it's first to 100. They did change something up a little bit with the snitch and the seeker. I think, if I remember correctly, in the movie and book lore, if someone caught the snitch, that would end the game. I think it was like 150 points. I don't remember. But it would end the game immediately. Wherever the score was, that would be it. That's not how it works here. You catch that, and it's 60 points, and the game will kind of like reset, and then it will like almost like a kickoff or a, what the hell do they call it in basketball? Toss-up? No. Whew, yikes. You do that and you start the game again and keep playing till either the time's up or you guys get to 100. So yeah, you do that throughout and go. Like I said, I only played through the tutorial, but everything felt really smooth. It was nice to pass between players, jump between the different roles at points, and kind of change how things are going for the team. It seems like I said, there is that campaign there where you go through the schools, you go to the World Cup, however you want. Once you get past the tutorial area, you can unlock different characters from the books and movies. You could put them on your team if you want, instead of just the customization or the customized roles if you want. There's also characters you can purchase. Now, I know that gets a little scary of like, what? As far as I saw, everything was in-game currency. Granted, I don't know how fast you accrue those currencies. I think there was 3. There's magic keys, there's crystals, and there's gold. And depending on the item that you're trying to get, obviously different currency. So I think for characters that they had right now, there was like Cedric Diggory was a character you get, Cho Chang, Harry himself, Ron, Madam Hooch was in there for some reason. I want to say there was one more. But that's at least for right now. It seems like they're going to add more. They also had a battle pass. You didn't have to buy the battle pass. I know. They had an unlock tree. Maybe I should call it that. For different cosmetics, more in-game currency. I saw before the game launched, but they have a fun little Easter egg in there where you can get a mask of Hagrid from like the old PS1 games and how he looked jank in that. You could put that on your head. You got Ron in his keeper outfit, I think is max level. So it seems like they're going to have different seasons with different unlocks there. So it's trying to reward the players of like, yeah, you can keep playing this and chase after this stuff. I don't know how successful that will be, but you know, who cares? If you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. And it's nice that it's all included in the bundle. You know, you're not paying extra money at the wazoo. Microtransactions. There's some cute stuff too. You can also with the customization of your characters. There's different school robes that you can unlock. There's different brooms that you can choose for your teams. Different cosmetics, as I mentioned. You can do wands, which I don't know why you would do a wand, why that's even coming into play. Right now they have cute little knit hats, like a Gryffindor lion, like Luna's, and a little little snake for Slytherin and stuff like that. So that's cool. Yeah, overall it was a fun, nice walk down, memory lane. I'm certainly going to play more of it. I don't know how much I'll play of it. There's also an online component. So I don't know if there's local co-op, but there might be. But you can play with your friends either against bots or you can go online and play matches. So that's interesting. I'm curious how that will work out. I'm sure with it being free on PlayStation Plus, a lot of people are playing it now. So if you did want to try it, maybe now's the time to do that. There's 2 trophies that are tied to online play. If you guys are, trophy hunters and looking for that, I think it's 5 wins online and then win a match or a few matches in a party. So there's that. Other than that, it seems very typical stuff, like score so many goals, do so many things with this character, whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping into the story. I don't know how in-depth the story will really be, similar to like sports games, essentially you just got to play the basketball game or play the wrestling game or whatever it is. I don't know how in-depth that will really, really go, but it should be just some fun time. Nice, short, sweet experience. I think 4 to 5 hours I saw for how long to beat. Granted, early, who knows. So yeah, I just want to talk about that a little bit and how fun of a ride that was to jump back into. Like I said, the flying felt great. Very smooth, very responsive, and just fun to do in the moment too, with the commentators going and all the players going around and doing their thing. Yeah, it was a good time. Well, guys, this has been another episode of the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast. A lot of game talk today, this week, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you're jumping into Astrobot or Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, let me know what you guys are thinking of the games down below. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And maybe even the PS5 news. Are you going to get a Pro? Are you not going to get a Pro? Whatever it may be. But yeah, this has been another episode, guys. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live. So you can join in the fun and conversation with us, but if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, as it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, likes, shares, subscriptions, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Thanks for hanging out today, guys. Hope you guys are playing some fun games. Thanks for giving this a watch. Thanks for giving a listen. And we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.